Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jeff Phillips with CollegeFrog. Thanks for joining in on the webinar today. If anyone is interested in what CollegeFrog is, or wasn't even sure why you're getting an email from CollegeFrog, we had a couple questions about that. So CollegeFrog is the team behind National Meet the Firms Week, which most people who are invited to this webinar participated in. So if you didn't know what CollegeFrog was, we're behind National Meet the Firms Week, and CollegeFrog is a website that helps accounting students find out about great opportunities at firms, whether it's internships or entry level, all for accounting. It's the largest network of accounting students. And you build a profile, firms can find you, you can find firms. And the other thing that we do is we put on National Meet the Firms Week, and we also put a lot of content and advice out. Our mission is to help you understand what's out there. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity out there for accounting students. We want you to know all about it. And that's our job. My email address is jeff@collegefrog.com. If you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. So today, this may be your first time ever doing a webinar, but a webinar is where a presenter talks over the phone and shows you slides, just like if you're there in person. We're going to record it, so it's going to be available for everybody after. I'll email it out. We're also doing Q&A. So if you have a question for our career coach, please be sure to use your control panel. There's a question box, enter it, and towards the end, I'll read the questions. Our career coach is the fabulous Yvonne Harris of UHY. Yvonne is the Director of HR for UHY Texas, one of the largest firms in the country. And we are thrilled that Yvonne does this, really out of her concern and care for accounting students like you, and so we're grateful for Yvonne. I'm going to let Yvonne speak about her background and introduce herself because it's part of her story, and it's super helpful. Today we're talking about your job offers, and so if you have one, congratulations, that's phenomenal, or if you have an internship offer. But I'll say this is important because it's a difficult process to manage. It's difficult for an older person like me to know how to manage and negotiate a job offer, to make a good decision, much less somebody who may never have had a professional job offer before. So Yvonne's going to help you with that. We know you have a lot of questions. I want to get out of the way and let Yvonne get started. I really appreciate everybody joining. So Yvonne, with that, the floor is yours, and thank you so much for walking us through this today, Yvonne.
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am very excited to be leading today's webinar entitled Congrats, You Have an Offer, Now What? And as Jeff alluded to, I am the HR Director for UHY. I'm based here in Houston, Texas. But I also bring close to 20 years experience in human resources and recruitment. And I am totally supportive of CollegeFrog and the concept of the career coach, and really just come from the perspective of having walked this journey myself, accepting my first job and subsequent jobs, and also interacting with applicants over the past 20 years approximately. And everything that you hear from us in terms of webinars along these topic lines is really just based on real-life experience and trying to share information with the CollegeFrog community so that you can learn from others who have taken this journey before you, who have made mistakes before you made, and give you information that may help you as you navigate the path, not only to get your first job, but even beyond that. For example, for those of you that are intern candidates and accepting your first internship opportunity, opportunities to still provide you with advice on how to be a great intern candidate, and we'll cover that topic going forward in a future webinar. But that's a little bit of my background, my story, and why I am so passionate about the CollegeFrog community and seeing each and every one of you be successful in your job search. So with that said, I'm going to bring up the agenda for today's call. Obviously, we'll talk briefly about the purpose of the call today. We'll review ground rules. We'll talk about the total compensation associated with your offer, so show me the money. And then we'll talk about some of the other benefits that may be hard to quantify, but are very important part of the offer. We'll also just have, some talking points around the location. For those of you that are have received multiple offers, congratulations. Maybe an offer is in the town where you go to school. Maybe you have another offer in your hometown. Just some things to consider and to factor in. We want to drive home the importance of your fit into the culture of the organization and making sure that you're really thinking through not only the offer, so the money aspect or the benefits, but you're actually joining a company and you're joining a group of people. So some talking points around that. We're also going to talk about how you do your homework and your due diligence about the job and making sure that you understand what you're accepting. And I know that seems really, really basic and very elementary, but we're going to cover it because it's not so intuitive when you're going through this process, just making sure that you fully understand what the job expectations are going to be. Very quickly, we're going to talk about whether you're accepting a job or starting a career. No judgment assigned here, but how you approach the acceptance of this job, whether you're looking at it as a job to buy time until something better comes along, or this is the step into your dream career. You just want to factor that into how you approach the acceptance of the offer. We're going to talk about the art of negotiation. So even though many of you may be accepting what's deemed to be an entry-level position, let's just talk through some factors that could be consideration for negotiation, just so you make sure you're getting the best offer for you. Some other talking points, looking at the fine print of your offer. The next bullet point we call calling a timeout. So for those of you that may have multiple offers, again, that's great. Maybe you need a little bit more time to make a final determination on which offer to accept. Let's talk about the best way, the most professional way to have that discussion with your recruiter. You're declining an offer. We need to go through what's the appropriate way to decline an offer. You want to make sure you're not, I'm going to use a pretty, I guess, well-used term, burning bridges. How you decline an offer is just as important as how you went through the recruitment process. It's all about your personal brand, so we're going to cover some points there. What if you need a do-over? What if you accept an offer with full intentions of starting with that company, but 2 weeks from now, a month from now, after the holiday break, something else comes along, something that you feel is better suited for you? How do you handle that? Let's talk through that. I only have one offer and it's not what I want. Okay, so you probably enter this journey a little bit on the stressed out side, saying, let me just get an offer. And now you got the one offer, but you don't really have any options. So we'll talk through how to navigate that. And then the last point that we'll go through is, I don't have any offers, and what should I do? Okay. So the purpose of this webinar is to, again, position those of you in the CollegeFrog community to make a sound offer or sound decision of offer acceptance, and then position you to review other aspects of this phase of the job search which aren't normally discussed. So in essence, just trying to give you a little bit of food for thought that some of your classmates, some of your peers may not be thinking about, and then giving it to you from the perspective of a recruiter and an HR professional. And just by way of a little bit of background, I have a team of recruiters here that work for me. So in preparation for this call, we actually came together and went through some of these together as a team. So some ground rules. As Jeff mentioned at the top of the call, there is a Q&A function. We do have some people that are helping us, obviously, on the UHY and CollegeFrog team answer some questions. But just keep in mind sometimes that if there's a lot of questions that are coming through, we may not be able to get through all the questions, today on the call, but there will be an email address provided at the end of the call that you can send follow-up questions to. And then there are no silly questions. I don't want anyone to miss an opportunity to ask a question in what's now a safe space, and you pass on the opportunity and you are presented with a situation and maybe you don't handle it in the best way possible. You're not as prepared. Use this as a preparation stage, and if any question comes to mind, ask us today. So, Jeff, we have a question that we just want to pose to those on the call. How would you like them to respond?
So, Yvonne, when you ask the question, everybody's just going to answer it in their question panel, and I will give you feedback on what the what the answers are, basically. So hopefully that makes sense, everybody. Yvonne, ask your question. Everybody, just enter your answer in the question tab or the question box that you've got.
Okay, you guys. So hopefully that was pretty simple to understand. The question is simply, how many offers do you have? And it's none, 1 to 2, or more than 3. So why don't we just take about 30 seconds and you guys give your answer to that question, please.
Perfect. So this is working great. Everybody's answers are coming in. And I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. So, we've got students that have one offer, 2 offers, 3 offers, 3 offers, 2 offers. We've got 2 that have none, 2 that have 2. I would say, Yvonne, that the majority have either 1 or 2. Okay? There are a couple that have none. We've got a couple that are waiting for responses. But if you had to pin me down on an answer, I would say 1 to 2 is the biggest, most responded answer.
Okay, that is great. Congratulations. So for those of you that have 1 or more offers, UHY and CollegeFrog, we congratulate you. That's a huge accomplishment. So moving forward, for those of you with offers, show me the money. Obviously, the money is an important part. And very simply, understand what your total cash package is before you accept with the firm. So some of you may be receiving base salary and sign-on bonus. Make sure that you have both of those elements in writing. And then also to make sure you understand any repayment agreements. Sometimes a sign-on bonus may be tied to a commitment to work for a period of time. And there can be an all-or-nothing repayment or a sliding scale repayment. So what do I mean by that? Some of the times with your sign-on bonus, the repayment is forgiven for periods of time that you're there. So let's say you get I'm going to use just really easy numbers, $12,000 sign-on bonus. You have to commit to working 12 months. Some companies do an all or nothing. You don't stay the 12 months. You leave anywhere during that time, you have to repay that. Some may say it's forgiven in increments of 1/12. So every month you stay, that's $1,000 less you have to repay. Make sure that you understand that and do so obviously before accepting and signing for the offer. Understand too, it's something really small, how will you get paid? When you say, Yvonne, what do you mean, how do you get paid? Do you get paid twice a month or do you get paid every 2 weeks? Okay, so then depending on the answer to that, you're going to take your annual salary and divide it by 24 if that's twice a month, or 26 if it's every 2 weeks. And then for those companies that do pay every 2 weeks, there are 2 months in every year where you actually get 3 paychecks. So for those of you, your first job, maybe you're doing your budgeting process around this, it's very important to know how much money is actually going to be in your paycheck. And for those months that maybe you're getting that incremental extra quote-unquote paycheck, there's opportunity for different budgeting strategy there. So that should be detailed in your offer letter. If it's not, make sure you ask your recruiter that question. So again, that's how often will you be paid. And then as an intern, as a full-time candidate, your very first paycheck, this is going to seem so intuitive, but I can't tell you how many times it doesn't happen. Check your first paycheck. Does the amount that you're being paid, does it equate to what was in your offer letter. If you signed on to get a sign-on bonus, did your sign-on bonus actually hit your paycheck? Dealing with those issues very early on your first paycheck, it allows for a very easy correction and obviously for you to get the money that you were promised. And from an HR perspective, it's not putting your payroll person, payroll manager, your HR manager in a position where they're having to go back 6 months because you were maybe didn't know how to bring up the issue, maybe just never looked at your paycheck. So make sure you look at your paycheck. Okay, the money is important, but it's not the only important thing. What are some other factors to consider? Sorry, my slides are doing something. Give me a second. Okay. If anyone wants to interact on this particular portion of the slide, just shoot out some answers, but some other things that you may be factoring into your offer decision. For those of you that love to travel, obviously love to take vacation, time off, you're probably comparing offers based on vacation or paid time off and what's allotted. So that's really important. You want to look at that and compare it side by side. How do you put a value to that? Can anyone just respond, how do you put a value to your PTO and determine how much vacation time you're getting and how much it's worth? Anyone chime in?
Yeah, a couple others. Profit sharing. Another one was hours per week.
Or you can take your annual salary. I mean, those were good answers. Take your annual salary. You divide it by 2,080, okay? When you take your salary and divide it by 2,080, that's the standard number of work hours in a year, and that gives you your hourly rate. So if you then take your hourly rate and multiply it by the number of vacation days you'll get, you'll see the real dollar amount of what your vacation package is worth. Hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, you want to look at your other benefits. So medical, dental, vision. I mean, do a side-by-side comparison. Most firms are giving you like a benefits package with the information. How much are you paying for benefits at one company versus benefits at the other? So if there's a company that maybe has a higher, for example, a higher base salary they're offering, what happens if their benefits are significantly higher than maybe another company? Maybe in the end it's a wash. Maybe your take-home pay is about the same. So you just want to do a math exercise around things like this. Some other benefit offerings, Jeff gave some examples of what you guys are sending answers in. I know here at our firm we have short-term disability, we have long-term disability, we have critical care, we have critical illness protection, we have identity theft insurance, prepaid legal. A lot of firms have gym memberships. Some are included, some are discounted. So again, the financial impact to you, what do you have to consider if a gym membership is really important to you? What's the cost there? A big thing, especially for those of you that are accepting offers in very large cities, parking costs. How much is parking? Does your firm pay your parking or do you pay your own parking? Is there a subsidy? How do you factor that in? I know a great benefit for us here at UHY is our firm does pay our parking. So there's one significant cost that we don't have to factor in on a monthly basis. So I challenge everyone on this call that has offers to really spend some time, maybe even putting together a spreadsheet, jotting everything down in terms of benefits that are being offered and then costs that are impacting you, and just run some analysis on a monthly basis. At this dollar amount that I'm making with this benefit complement, this is how much I'm bringing home. And an offer that may look really good in terms of just base salary or maybe salary and even sign-on bonus, when you factor in some of these costs, it may actually not be the very best offer. So you want to consider that. Okay, so the next slide has to do with the location. So you have some great offers, especially for those of you that have multiple offers. This obviously is not an issue if all of your offers are in the same city. But coming out of college, location to me was a very big consideration. and I definitely wanted to come back to my hometown, which is Houston. But you also need to look at cost of living. So if you're coming from one big city to another, what's the cost of living index you should be applying so that you understand how to budget? If you, for example, live in Houston, but you're considering offers in New York City, I think that's a very straightforward example to say that the cost of living in New York City is a lot higher than it is here in Houston. So how do you do math around that to see if your offer is an offer that can help you sustain whatever lifestyle it is that you're accustomed to? If it's not really necessarily competing cities, but maybe you're within a large metropolitan area and you have great offers, but from different sides of town, or maybe some of the offers are not in downtown and a couple of the offers are in downtown, have you considered commuting and the impact that will have on you? I think there was a recent study, gosh, I don't want to misquote the study, but it was talking about how much time people spend in their cars actually commuting. But the point of it was, when I heard the study, I was like, oh, I'm way over average. I spend too much time in my car. And that's actually really important to me. I'm now looking at ways on how I cut down on my commute. So again, going back to that scenario, if you have a really great offer on paper with a really great company, but what if that company means that you have round trip an hour-and-a-half commute? Is that really the sacrifice that you want to make? Or are there some other offers that are really strong second offers, and maybe they're closer to home? Maybe it's a 10, 15-minute commute round trip. Should you consider that before you accept the offer? Okay, Jeff, can we move into another question?
Let's do it.
Okay. This one's going to be a true-false. So true or false, a top reason why employees leave their company is because of the people that they work for or with. True or false?
So you're saying it's because of the people they work for or with?
Right.
Both.
I am choosing to leave my company because of the people that I work for or with. Is that a true statement or false?
People. So in other words, the people I work with and work for are the reason why I would leave. So I got to tell you, this is going 50-50. Maybe, okay, let's 70-30 true to false. Okay? Thanks, everybody, for putting an answer in. But I would say 70% are saying true, 30% are saying false. How are we doing on this, Yvonne? Did we get it right?
The 70% did. And I'm not saying it's the #1 reason, but any type of workplace survey or employee engagement survey where this topic is researched is that oftentimes when people leave a company, they're leaving because of the people that they are working for and with. So those interpersonal relationships, the likability factor, we talk about that a lot nowadays. Do you actually like the people that you are spending anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day with? So I want to make sure I'm very clear on this point. I don't want anyone on this call to feel like you have to make friends at work or accept an offer because you have friends at that company, okay? You want to accept the best offer for you, but part of accepting that best offer is just seeing if those people are people that you want to spend 8 to 10 hours a day with. Making friends is a bonus, but you want to make sure you can work with those people and that you see yourself fitting in. You see yourself bringing value as you're interacting with people. So when you went through the interview process, did they seem genuinely interested in your answers? Was their ability to have light banter? On the social element, so for those of you that went through the entire interview process, I'm sure there were times where you were going out to dinner, going out to lunches. How fluid was the communication during that time? Did you enjoy time with the people that you met and interviewed with? And are those the same people that you'll be working for? So if you interviewed with, let's say, a whole bunch of higher level people and maybe didn't have a chance to interact with more of your colleague or peer group, maybe that's a factor that you need to consider and reach out to your recruiter and say, you know what, before I accept the offer, I would like to meet a few more people. or even in the inverse, you met a lot of your peer group, a lot of your colleagues, but maybe didn't have a chance to interact with the leadership team or some of the managing directors or partners. Request that, because that's very important. And now that you have the offer, I mean, that's the stamp of approval, right? That's the firm has said to you they want you to join the team. So at this point, there's nothing wrong with going back and saying, I really appreciate the offer, but I need to meet some more people to make an informed decision. Okay, you're getting paid to do exactly what? I'd like to assume that most people do this, but I know sometimes you get caught up in the whole process that maybe some of the details slip. If you have not already done so, you need to review the job description for the job that you have accepted, okay? And clearly understand what you're being asked to do. And on that job description where there's that statement that says, and other duties as described, or other duties that may come up, whatever the verbiage is, reach out to your recruiter and say, explain to me what that could potentially mean. It's just very important that you know, not from what your friends have told you necessarily, or even not what has been described with the interviewer. I think those are all key pieces of information, but you should see in black and white what the job description is for the job that you're accepting. Evaluation forms, ask the HR department if you can get a copy of the evaluative form that's used to assess employees at the job that you're accepting. One key piece of information, or a few key pieces of information here, is that not only do you want to know what the job entails, it's important to know what success looks like in that job. So what are you going to be evaluated on? For companies that have a performance management cycle maybe twice a year, depending on when you accept, you may be 6 months from your first evaluation, or I'm sorry, depending on when you start, you'll be 6 months from your first evaluation. You need to know what you're going to be evaluated on, so that's extremely important. Are there any questions there? Okay. So are you accepting a job or starting a career? And this is not a trick question. Yeah.
Yvonne, I apologize for cutting you off, but a question did come in, and I wanted to cut you off before you moved on. But one of our attendees wants to know: would an HR representative give you this form that you're talking about? How do you get this?
Some HR representatives will give you the form, or some should just be able to give you the concepts by which the evaluation is measured. So, for example, if they have a policy about disseminating information, for example, related to the evaluation, they can still tell you the key concepts. You're going to be evaluated on your technical skills, on your ability to communicate effectively, on your ability to take initiative, learn quickly. I'm throwing out some common phrases. I mean, clearly the firms probably have a different terminology or a way to approach it, but you should be able to understand if there are 7 rating categories, what are those categories? Because I think it's important that you know going in, this is how you're going to be evaluated. This is what the firm is now looking at in terms of your career and how they judge you or rate you.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So are you accepting a job or starting a career? Okay. So for those of you that are fortunate enough where you're accepting or you have offer options for offers in a field that you're really passionate about, hopefully it's the field of accounting and you have long-term dreams of becoming a partner in an accounting firm. Well, that's great. I mean, you're taking, the first step in the realization of that dream. For those of you that just aren't sure, I mean, you need a job, you went to school, you majored in accounting, but you're not sure. There's nothing wrong with that. You just need to make sure that you go in to this initial position with the same amount of passion and exude the same amount of confidence for those that are well on their way. They know this is their path. So what do I mean? You don't want to go in there and you're timid, or you're just kind of unsure. You're like, what is this audit stuff really about? Or I thought I liked taxes, but I'm not exactly sure. Every job that you will have in the course of your lifetime, whether you're on your career path now or you're still trying to navigate it, you need to walk in there wanting to learn something. It will make you better for that next step. But from an HR perspective, I'm just sharing the feedback with you because when you have that start class that comes in, if you have someone that's looking timid or that's unsure or they just don't seem to want to be there, your firm will sense that. Your firm will see that. And your first day, your brand that you're establishing with the firm on the first day will probably not be the most positive one that you want. So whether this job is just a backfill or a fill-in until that amazing career comes along for you or until you learn what you want to do, I want everyone on this call to say, even if this is just a job, I'm not sure if I want to do this. Go in there with confidence and with passion that you're selling yourself and you're letting the firm know that they made the right choice by hiring you. One second.
Yvonne, while that's loading up, I just wanted to second what you said. Too often people start a job and maybe they're disappointed in the job that they got, right? And they start with a negative attitude. Well, the one sure way for the job to, to not work out is to not go in at guns blazing, and doing the best that you can. That's the one guaranteed way to failure, right? And there's other options like trying your best, having passion, going full in, and you never know how that might work out. So, just want to add that.
And I think that's great advice, Jeff. I mean, so many people that you're going to run into in your career. And this is for the CollegeFrog community, many people did not take the first job that led to the eventual career. I did not start off in human resources. I was an accounting major. I went into audit. And I was very fortunate to find this field, but I would have never found it but for the first job that I got as an auditor. So the point that Jeff and I are really trying to drive home here is have the enthusiasm, sell the enthusiasm. You're going to be unsure, but you're going to be unsure about a lot of things. I mean, especially for those of you that are maybe moving to accept your first job, or there's so many changes that could be potentially going on. You could be putting way too much thought into that particular step instead of letting just things happen naturally. It's going to be a lot of change, but when you go to that place of employment, you've got to almost fake it until you make it. You need to exude that positive energy. Otherwise, you're sending a negative signal to the firm that you've accepted with. So the art of negotiation, is it an art or a science? What does that question mean? Depending on who you talk to, some people use the terms like spin. It's how you say it. It's not necessarily what you say. Or is it what you say, but it doesn't really matter how you deliver it. It's both. For those of you, even accepting entry-level jobs, if there is an offer that you have from the company that you really want to go to, but for example, it's lower in dollar than some of the other companies, there's nothing wrong to going to company number one, speaking to your recruiter, your hiring manager, and saying, I would really like to come and work for your company, but I have to share with you that there are some other offers that are more attractive from a financial perspective. Can we talk through this? Any recruiter is going to respect that conversation. Some caution flags I show here, or I throw out here. Number one, the recruiting community in many communities within professional services is very small. So make sure that there's no level of exaggeration in what you're sharing, because you never know if your recruiter at company number one actually knows the recruiters at companies number 2 and 3, and you just want to make sure that you're being very honest and very forthright. For those of you that are relocating, do you need help with your relocation? Is that something that you want to ask? My thought is that first conversation, put your list together and ask for everything that you want. Okay, so let's say your list is 5 things. Even if you get 3 of them, you're better off without having asked for any of them. But the other caution that I'll throw out here is you don't want to keep coming back asking for things. So, let me ask for more money in my base salary. Okay, next conversation, let me talk a little bit about my sign-on bonus or my relocation package. Next one, let me just understand if there's any flexibility with the PTO arrangement. The more you keep coming back, it could send a negative signal to the recruiter, and at some point you're going to disengage the recruiter or the hiring manager in the process. Okay, so we talked about, for example, at the beginning, just any commitments regarding a sign-on bonus for those of you that are receiving those. But in any case, make sure you read and understand your offer letter and all the supporting documents, whether it's related to benefits, anything that the company has given you. If there are particular aspects of your offer that you negotiated or that were told to you in the recruitment process, maybe even a particular team assignment or an amount of travel or a particular project you wanted to work on, make sure that it's in writing in your offer. Don't leave anything to chance. I'm not saying that a company wouldn't honor something that was said, but obviously you're meeting with so many people in the job search process. Something may have been communicated to you that simply didn't come back to the recruiter and didn't make your offer letter. So you want to make sure that your offer letter is succinct as possible. Understand your documents, and if there's something you don't understand, seek help. If you have specific questions, ask your recruiter. I mean, that's what we're here. We're here to assist you through that process. If there's some language in there that you're not sure what it means, ask us. I mean, it's a positive thing. It lets us know that you're thorough. It lets us know that you're reading your documentation, and it lets us know that you're taking the process very seriously. Okay, so for those of you that have multiple offers and you're genuinely, I'll use the word stuck. It may not be stuck. It may just be that you need time or you're focused on exams at school. Just have a lot going on. Do not hesitate at all to reach out, to be proactive with all of your recruiters, and to let them know what your time frame is for a decision. Many times a company will state that we're extending this offer and you have until XYZ date to make your decision. As long as you're again being proactive and you're reaching out before the deadline, many recruiters will not have a problem making an extension for you, and it's keeping you engaged in the process with them. The worst thing that you can do here right now is radio silence. We don't know what to make of radio silence. You've just fallen off the map. So did you accept another offer? Are you tied up with exams? Is there something else going on? It just puts too many questions out there. But if you reach out, if you're proactive, you're showing professionalism, you're showing continued interest in the firm, and guess what? They're going to be even more interested in you for having that level of courtesy and professional maturity through this phase of the process. For those of you that were on the job search call and continuing on to this call, you recognize that a lot of this process is a journey, and it's about learning and growing through this process and listening to instinct and understanding your challenges and opportunities are. And I just put this on here, sort of synonymous with like traffic lights. So you know your instinct. You know green means green. You know when the offer is right and it feels right, everything has lined up, is the exact package that you want. Green means go. I encourage you to follow your instinct, and if that's what your instinct is saying, that's the offer that you are to accept. Red means red, okay, so stop. So the offer's not lining up, you're not really feeling the fit or the connection to that particular office, to that particular firm, you're just not sure, or you know it's not the right one, then follow your instinct, don't accept that offer. Yellow. Yellow is sort of that space of, it's more applicable to I'm just not sure. I don't know what to make of that. As I've grown and developed in my own career, I equate yellow or not being sure to red or no movement at all, and just trusting that answers will come. So again, that one ties really particularly into this slide, because if you have let's call it 3 great offers, and you're just really not sure which offer to accept, hit the pause button and figure out, jot a list down of what are those questions that you need answers to make an informed and best decision for you. Jot those questions down, reach out to those companies, and get the answers that you need. Allow them to answer. Again, engage the recruiter, engage that partner that you met and really connected with, engage the hiring managers, and get the answers that you need, and then your yellow can become green, and then you can make the best decision for you. Okay. Can we ask another question, Jeff?
Let's go.
Is it appropriate to decline an offer via email? Yes, no, it depends.
That's a good question. You know what? I'm seeing a lot of it depends, actually, and some people aren't willing to make a commitment, Yvonne. I like that. Actually, I don't think I like that. All right, so I've got some. If they haven't answered C, they're answering yes. One person says, no, I would call or go by. So what's the right answer?
Okay, so who is that one person that said no? I applaud you. It's actually no, but it's the phone call, it's the personal outreach, and then it's the follow-up via email. Okay, so am I sounding a little bit old-fashioned to some of you on the call? Sure I am. I mean, you know, we use email for everything, right? We email, we text. But what I challenge everyone in the CollegeFrog community on this call to recognize and to know and understand is that you have just spent many weeks, months with companies who have invested just that same amount of time in you, and they've shown a personal interest in you. This is about your brand, okay? You've had companies that reach out to you and say, we want you to join our organization. And again, they've put a lot of time and effort and energy into that. Honor that time and effort and energy and make the personal outreach. This is not the time to go email. This is the time to have that phone call, albeit very uncomfortable. As recruiters, we admire that, okay? So you want to talk about the difference that makes. Okay, sure, Jeff, I extended an offer to you. You declined it. You sent me an email. Well, Jeff, you've now just become a part of a population that has done that. But let's turn that scenario around. Jeff, you reached out and you called me. Okay, Jeff, you've now created a dynamic where I'm like, gosh, what a level of professionalism that he brought to this process. I'm going to keep him in mind. I'm going to track him. I'm going to reach out to him after his first promotion at whatever company he went to, and I'm going to see if we can get him back. I want to keep him in my network. Maybe we would continue to network throughout our careers, and I hear of a great opportunity, not even at my organization, and I'm kicking that opportunity as Jeff's way. So here is where you set yourself apart. I encourage each and every one of you on the call, if you're going to decline an offer, make that personal outreach. Find the 1 or 2 people within that organization, decline the offer, let them know why, and then follow up with an email. It makes a difference.
Yvonne, can you just very quickly give an example of that? You said let them know why. How direct do you need to be? Maybe tell us a recent example that if you've probably never been declined, but just in case, how would you do it?
Oh, I have been declined for lots of reasons. Some are very simple, very neutral. We weren't the city of choice. The candidate wanted to go to a different city. Very easy explanation. Appreciated the candidate outreach telling me, so I understood why. There are some competitive issues. Maybe a candidate got what they felt like was a better offer somewhere else. That feedback helps me to understand, okay, and it helps any recruiter. You tell me that your offer package somewhere else is better. As recruiters, we want to know, not that we're trying to pressure you to accept our offer, but, okay, if there's something that shifted in the marketplace, we just want that information. You've helped me as a recruiter remain competitive. Oftentimes, there could be family reasons, Jeff. It could be a variety of reasons. We don't assign judgment to the reason because we respect the fact that you've made the best decision for you. It's just the lack of information or the way that the decline is delivered. It just makes all the difference.
That sounds great. I think that really helps.
So let's say you accepted an offer and you've had a change of heart. Is it okay to obviously unaccept an offer? Absolutely. I mean, if you've accepted an offer, but maybe something at another firm came along, or something in another field came along, or maybe the opportunity to go back to grad school, get a law degree, those things happen. The key here is as soon as you know, you need to communicate that to the firm or the company that you accepted with. Where most of your colleagues or predecessors, people who have been through the process before you, where they really mess up here is they're very uncomfortable with delivering the message, and through that discomfort, they procrastinate, and you get the phone call the Friday before the Monday of the start, and the phone call is made to HR, and the HR professional is saying, why did this person wait until 2 days before the start date to let me know? And if you want to use the term burning bridges, that, my friends, is a bridge that has been burned. Okay, so life happens. Things are going to happen. Opportunities are going to come along each and every day. How you handle it, how quickly you choose to deal with the situation and communicate around it, that's what's going to make you stand out. That's what's going to continue to perpetuate your brand in a positive direction, as opposed to procrastinating and not dealing head-on or sending an email. Okay, so you didn't decline the offer via email. You actually accepted it, but now something else has come along. You're technically now declining, and instead of that personal outreach, you're sending an email. Okay, I only have one offer, and it's not what I want. Here I say let instinct be your guide. And what do I mean by that? First and foremost, I just challenge you to look at potentially what could be your financial situation. Do you need to accept an offer, this offer, because you need to work? You need to earn income. Again, going a few slides back, it may then be that you're accepting a job, you're not taking that first step in your career, and that is okay. But depending on how you approach life and how financial stresses can impact you, it may be better to go ahead and accept a job that's not your dream job, and then use your vacation, use opportunities, slower time, etc., to look for and seek that opportunity that you really want. Okay, and this happens all the time. So maybe you're accepting your first job, but in 2 years you want to go back to school. Maybe you're interested in joining your family business. It's okay. But again, if that's what you're doing, like Jeff and I talked about a few minutes ago, you're still bringing the same passion, the same enthusiasm, everything to the table day one, but you know that you have a different motivating factor for accepting this job. Okay. I don't have any offers. What should I do? So some of you on this call may have gone through the fall recruitment process, and you just don't have any offers. There's some letters or some words that start with the letter P that come to mind that could be natural reactions when this happens to someone. You go into panic mode, you become paralyzed, or you can be proactive. So going into panic mode for each and every one of us is an individualized reaction, okay? But it is some type of reaction, albeit probably not a positive one. Becoming paralyzed is really no reaction at all. Potentially, it's just you're frozen. You don't know what to do. You don't know, who to reach out to. I don't advise either of those reactions. What I do advise is that you are proactive. Okay, there is nothing wrong with telling your close network of friends, colleagues, peers, mentors, coaches on campus, or reaching out to your CollegeFrog coaches and your CollegeFrog support team and just saying, I have not yet been successful. I need help. It could be that there is simply something that happened in your interview process, some feedback that you've received, or a way that you came across in your interview that we need to correct. Okay, if that's the case, there is the opportunity maybe for those recruiters that you connected with, feel very comfortable with, you're reaching out. You're saying, give me some feedback. I know some of you on the call may be saying, okay, that's really, really out there. I have that question posed to me every recruitment season. What can I do better? What were some of the decision factors that you made? And when you have that relationship with the recruiter, there could be that golden nugget that you need on how you can turn this dynamic around. Maybe your skill set just wasn't a fit to what you were pursuing. You need to go back to career services. Companies are hiring throughout the year. It's not, companies don't work on a semester system like schools. If you need to have a job by the time you graduate in May and you haven't been successful, great what? The good news is you still have several months to get that going for you. But if you sit and you just go into either panic mode or no activity mode, you're looking up and it's May, or for those of you looking for an internship opportunity, there's still time, believe it or not. We're just in November. A lot of companies hire interns well into December, going into what could be considered the holiday season. We still need to be proactive, but you just have to gather trusted resources to understand what you need to do differently. It seems scary, but work through the fear and let's get to the job offer. Okay, so the point here was how you choose to react will determine the outcome. Okay, so on behalf of CollegeFrog Career Coach through CollegeFrog powered by UHY, I thank each and every one of you for giving me time on your Thursday afternoon. Hopefully there was something in this presentation that made a difference for you, something that's causing you to think through your offer acceptance differently. And Jeff, I know you have some other great webinars coming down the pike for CollegeFrog, and we hope that you'll participate. And the email that I referenced at the beginning, if you have questions that we're not able to get to this afternoon, you can email them to careercoach@collegefrog.com and give us about 48 hours, and we'll respond to most emails, okay? Thank you so much.
Yvonne, that is awesome stuff. Thank you so much. We got a couple questions if you can stay on. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. But one quick clarification, the email address is actually coach@collegefrog.com.
Oh, got it. Okay, so coach.
Yeah, and I just sent that out, just coach, and I sent that out to everybody. So not surprisingly, we got a lot of questions. And we've got some great suggestions for future webinars, too, which I'm really excited about. And just so everybody on the call knows, Yvonne's going to be doing these periodically. We'll send out notifications, but during the school year, probably about once a month. We'll have another one in December, and we're going to cover different topics. In fact, Yvonne, one person suggested maybe that we do a future webinar just all about the partnership track. What's that all about? What should our expectations be? And I think that's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Okay. Well, maybe we do that next.
Okay.
Hey, so I'm going to throw out a couple questions to you, and like Yvonne said, if you didn't get your question answered, please email coach at collegefrog.com. So here we go. How important is it to have public accounting experience in career progression? He's asking because I'm leaving a good job in internal audit to go into public accounting to boost my career perspectives. Is that a good choice? Sounds to me like it sort of depends on what he wants. What do you think?
Yeah, it really depends on what the end game is. I will say that, when I went into the workforce, there was definitely the direction of going into public accounting. And anyone who was an accounting major or interested in accounting needed to have public accounting on their resume. Things have changed. While public accounting experience is still so highly valued, there are ways to still get to high levels of success in accounting with not necessarily having to have public accounting on your resume. So I guess I would, like you're saying, Jeff, in that one, it sounds like someone's making a pretty big career change, and if all things are going great at the current company, I would just ask the beginning question of why even consider leaving that current company. if public accounting experience doesn't further you along. So you may be making a change for not all the right reasons.
That's a great point. You know, guys, don't necessarily job hop. You know, there's a little bit of a reputation you develop doing that too. So make sure before you leave that you know, don't leave a job just for something like because you think it might appear better. This is a question that's a little bit of a follow-up with something you asked earlier. If you receive an offer, but you are still waiting to hear back from other firms, what's the right amount of time you can ask for to make a final decision? And here's the part I'm really interested in. Do you say that you are waiting to hear from other firms? I've been asked that multiple times. Curious what your opinion is.
So an extension, let's start there. An extension, that to me is an acceptable extension, is 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay,
Okay,
so
cool.
2 weeks. So if you're given the deadline of, let's say, the end of November, I would say asking for December 15th is acceptable. You want to be careful with your level of transparency. I would never advise dishonesty, but I think a better way to state it is simply that you're weighing your options. They don't need to know if there are options in hand or there are options you're waiting on. You're just weighing your options. But I think that, Jeff, the harder part of that question is what happens on December 15th if those offers don't come in the door? What are you going to do? And I think, again, this is a part of every candidate's journey. Do you then just accept the offer that you have and see what happens in the future and then go to slide of how do you gracefully decline an offer or, you know, rescind an offer that you've accepted? You just need to kind of think through that process in your head. Because depending on how you react to situations in life, is it more stressful for you to decline an offer while waiting on other things? If the answer to that is yes, then you probably need to go ahead and accept that offer. If you're a person that just embraces life as it comes and you just trust that things are going to work out in your favor, well, great. Then maybe you're comfortable with declining the offer and just hoping that things happen for you. But you just need to understand yourself through this process and make the best decision for you.
Yvonne, this is one I'm very interested in. How much is enough negotiation? When do you stop? It's a great question.
I can't exactly answer how many bullet points to cover. You know, here's just a point where no one's going to advocate for you like you advocate for you. And if there's a company that you really think you want to join, but, I mean, whatever that number is, there are 6 or 7 points that you just have to review. No recruiter is going to look at this and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person came to me with 7 things. As long as there's 7 authentic things that impact your ability to make a decision on joining that company, the recruiter will appreciate that. The caution I continue to throw out is it's 1 to 2 conversations. So it's you reaching out saying, here's some things I need you guys to consider. The firm reaching back and saying, we've heard your concerns. Thanks for bringing them to us. Here's our responses. If there's more conversations going back and forth, I think both parties start to lose interest at that point. And it could be the company coming to you and saying, you know, Jeff, it just doesn't seem like we have the offer that's compatible for your needs. We are considering pulling the offer.
Mm-hmm. That is great advice.
It's 2 conversations.
Just good rule of thumb. And you know what, I think I'll ask one quick one, and hopefully everybody will stay on to listen to it. But what if I've been offered an offer way below my expectations? And I think what this person means is financially. How and what are my options to convince and negotiate? So a really disappointing job offer came in as far as financial. How do you deal with that?
The key here is removing yourself from the equation and not focusing on your worth or your value that you're bringing to the organization, but understanding that particular industry and maybe that particular market and what that market pays. Okay, so if you've done some due diligence either through career services, through salary.com, whatever your research tools are for this, you should be pretty comfortable at whatever your chosen job should pay at that particular staff level that you're looking at. So if it's not in that ballpark, I think that's a very easy conversation to have with the recruiter to say, based on my research going into this job search, here is what I thought a staff accountant would make. Your offer is outside of the span. I need you to help me to explain. What am I missing? What are you basing your factors on? If the offer is within those guidelines, but it's just not meeting your expectations, that's a harder conversation to have, quite honestly, because now you're reaching beyond where a firm or an industry has said they're willing to pay.
Yeah, and I really like hearing you actually use the words that you might want to use in negotiation, the talk track, as we call it around the office, and because sometimes it just helps to understand how to articulate these things. Taking yourself out of the equation takes your emotions out of the equation too, by the way, which helps get down to just facts. This is the band. Help me understand why your offer is below that.
Right.
So we're going to wrap it up, and there's a lot of good questions still out here, and I'm sorry if we couldn't get to every single one. There's a lot. Here's what I'd ask you to do, is go ahead and email it to coach@collegefrog.com. Give us a couple of days. We'll get back to you. Another thing that we're going to do is start releasing blogs based off some of the questions we've heard and some of Yvonne's presentations. And so when we release those, we'll actually shoot them out through our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/CollegeFrog. And those are going to be great because you can add comments, you can add questions to those blogs, and that'll be part of Yvonne's work is answering some of those comments, and we'll be on site as well to answer those comments. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining the call. This is an outstanding conversation, and we need to continue it. There'll be some more great webinars to come, so I hope you'll continue to join us. And Yvonne, I want to thank you, as always, for being a part of this and bringing your passion and experience to us and helping everybody. Yvonne, why don't you give us your final thoughts, and then we'll just call it a day, okay?
Okay. I thank CollegeFrog again, and I wish every person on this call best success. I know and trust that you will make the right decisions for whatever stage you are in your career in terms of your offer acceptance. And for those of you that haven't had success yet, continue your partnership with CollegeFrog, and we will get you that offer for the job that you deserve. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day, a great Thanksgiving, and a great weekend. Bye now.